You're recognizing that it is not the appearances that bind you. It's not the appearances of samsara that bind you, but it is your mind's clinging and attachment that binds you. When you recognize that deeply, when you let go of that from within, you open up. You open up in the middle of all the aspects of samsara also, you blossom. You blossom into Buddhahood. Before we go to Avalokiteśvara's answer, we should understand what Shariputra knows, because most of us may not even know what Shariputra knows. Our need to cling to a continuity, we think it's self-protection, but which self are we protecting is the issue. You're protecting something which is not there, because we suffer because we have been protecting ourselves. If there was no samsara, there is no way we can train ourselves. So if we just escape samsara and just remain in the peace of nirvana, even that's not a simple deal. It needs practice. Assume you practice that and you got out of samsara and remained at that kind of nirvana. But remaining there, you couldn't perfect anything. Welcome back, all of you, to the next session of Heart Sutra. Tena jasamayena arya avalokadishvaro bodhisattva mahasattva gambhirayam prajñāpāramitājam charyam charamanaha evam vebelogayadisma. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, while engaging in the practice of profound Prajñāpāramitā, was thoroughly seeing in this way. Panjaskandamstamscha svabhavashunyam vivalokayate. He thoroughly sees the five skandhas as empty of inherent existence. So one thing which we have to notice here is that he is seeing. It's not that he is thinking, or it's not that he is conceptualizing. He is not trying to destroy the five skandhas. Okay, so he is experiencing the five skandhas. Today I will also try to explain what these five skandhas are. Okay, which is quite important. So he is experiencing the five skandhas, and he is experiencing that they are inherently empty. So it's not that, okay, he's not seeing anything or he's not experiencing anything. He's experiencing everything, all the five aspects he is experiencing. Yet, when you look into it, he's focusing on to the fact that, oh, they lack essence. So there is something which he look into, and that's lacking essence. That's how he's going into and experiencing its emptiness. At that time, Athayushman Shariputra Buddhanubhavena Arya Avalokadishwaram Bodhisattva Mahasattva Metavochat. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. So here, Ayushman is translated as Venerable, as is the usual case in the Buddhist translation. But as per certain commentaries, Ayushman also means that the one who has attained power over his life. So it also means that here Ayushman is not just venerable, but Ayushman is also referring to one who has gone beyond samsara, has attained arhathood. Okay, so through attaining arhathood, one has gone beyond, one has defeated death, has become deathless. So basically beyond life, birth and death. So in that way also Ayushman applies here. Okay, so through the power of Buddha, so I'll explain that part after the question. So he's asking, Yaha kaschida Kula-putro gambhirayam prajñāpāramitājam sharyam chartugāmaha katham shikshitavya. How should a son of the noble lineage who wishes to practice the profound transcendental perfection of wisdom train. So here, Shariputra is asking a question: how should one train on the wisdom perfection? So he says Kula-putra. So Kula-putra, or son of the noble lineage. So this is not a reference to some kind of a particular nobility. According to the Buddhist scriptures, Kula-putra is the one who kind of abandons all the kulas, all the individual family lineages, and discovers that in essence one can become the Buddha. So in certain ways one becomes Kula-putra by abandoning the clinging to personal kulas and all that. In another way, one becomes Kula-putra by recognizing that one can also be completely awakened. So one recognizes that one belongs to the Buddha Kula. So Buddha Kula is again not a reference to a particular Kula. All sentient beings are in fact Buddha Kula. Buddha Kula means they all have the seed, they all have the capability to awaken into perfection. So that way, Kula-putra means the son of the noble Kula, the son of the noble lineage, and here the noble lineage means the one who can become Buddha. So one can be a future Buddha. So that Kula-putra. Okay. So one is who abandoned the ordinary sense of Kula, and another one who has recognized that one can become Buddha. Okay. And another thing about who is this Shariputra, I hope all of you have heard of Shariputra. So he's two of the most important disciples of the Buddha while Buddha was alive. And both of them passed away before Buddha passing away. Otherwise, they would have been like also the kind of continuity of Buddha's lineage when Buddha passed away. Okay. So just like Mahakashyapa, who became the foremost after Buddha passing away. So these two, Shariputra and Maudgalayana, these two were the foremost disciples of the Buddha while Buddha was alive. And Maudgalayana is considered to be foremost in kind of magical powers, like in kind of special skills and knowing things at distance and hearing things at distance and able to fly and those kind of things. Maudgalayana was very supreme in all those kind of things. And Shariputra was considered foremost in wisdom. So among the Sravaka, like the Buddha's historic disciples, the historic disciples who practice the path of what is called Sravaka, which is basically working towards one's own liberation through recognizing how the emotional clinging happens inside and gradually becoming through the developing insight and gradually becoming free from that emotional clinging and recognizing that one doesn't have to cling to anything, and through that one attains total freedom from samsara and then abide in what is called the total peace of nirvana. So one who travels that path is called Shravaka, basically one who has listened to Buddha's words and then followed the words, meditated and attained that realization. So both of them are Shravaka, Shariputra as well as Maudgalayana. So among the Sravakas, Shariputra is the foremost in wisdom. So one speciality which many times come in Shariputra is like, okay, he asked a lot of questions to Buddha, particularly to explain things which are much more deeper. So in many sutras, Shariputra asks questions. And also, he is the one who compiled what is called Abhidharma. Abhidharma, or the superior knowledge, which is basically like the collection of whatever Buddha has spoken in various words in different sutras. So collecting them into categories and lists and like kind of technical analysis of all that. So all those kind of technicalities which come in Buddhism, if you see the Abhidharma Pitaka, that comes from Shariputra. So it's compiled by Shariputra, whereas sutras are typically compiled by Ananda. So there is, as per story, Shariputra, as per even the Sravaka story, not Mahayana, Sravaka Theravada level story also. It is said that Buddha explained this at Tushita, when he went there to meet his mother who passed away, give teachings to mother, when Buddha went to Tushita, there he kind of spoke about this. And then when he came back, he kind of spoke this to Shariputra, and that's how Shariputra got. So sometimes, so this Abhidharma Pitaka as a Pitaka, after Buddha's time, gets compiled as Abhidharma Pitaka because Shariputra has heard all this. So even in the basic teaching, like in in the Shravaka, it is kind of accepted that there are kind of special knowledge which Shariputra seeks, which probably others are not seeking. But here, when we come to the wisdom perfection teaching, we're talking about Mahayana like level of teaching, about recognizing the emptiness of everything. So not only about personal liberation, but recognizing everything about the world, the true nature of oneself and the world, and one's relation to the world. So that complete recognition, we're talking about that, which is only an interest area for the Mahayana disciples, the one who wishes to become Buddha, one who wishes to engage with the world for benefiting all beings. So there are these two differences we should understand here. One is that the Sravaka path and the other is the Mahayana path. So the difference is that, so in the Sravaka path is like one looks for individual liberation and Sariputra belongs there. The other path is the Mahayana path. Mahayana path is where one is not pursuing a goal of letting go of the samsara and wanting to rest in kind of the peace of nirvana, but wanting to become a perfect Buddha and wanting to again and again engage with the world, engage with samsara to benefit all beings, to bring benefit to all beings. So, in a way, a Mahayana disciple recognizes that samsara is faulty, the world and the way we relate to the world and all that afflictive emotions and all that trouble which makes us stick to samsara and go through all that suffering, they recognize this is faulty. At the same time, they recognize that the peace of nirvana, where one is totally letting go of all this and not taking bath and just remaining in some kind of that peace where nothing is happening but totally at rest. So they find that faulty too. So the first one is faulty because this is defective. Through their wisdom, they say this is defective. There is no need to suffer like this in samsara. So because samsara is defective, there is no need to suffer in samsara. They find that is faulty. And the second one, nirvana, they find faulty because of their compassion. Because when they look from the compassion, see that, okay, there are so many beings who are dear to them, which include those who are dear to them, those who include the beings who they are indebted to in this life and past lives. Like, for example, their parents who brought them up and all the other beings who have kind of deeply helped them. When they see that all of them are stuck in samsara, they feel like, what is the use of I just remaining in the peace of nirvana? So they feel like just letting go and just resting in nirvana is not sufficient. I need to be skilled enough to engage in the samsara, but without being trapped by samsara. I need to be able to engage in samsara. In a way, it is like the sun going through the sky from the east to west. Don't tell me that it's the earth which goes around the sun, but here poetically, the sun goes from the east to west. Okay, the poetic expression is that when the sun goes from east to west in the midst of all the clouds, the sun is not affected by all the clouds. So the sun can traverse in the middle of all the clouds. Again, don't tell me that sun is far that side of the clouds and not touched by any of the clouds. But this is basically a poetic expression. Okay. So in a poetic expression, sun is traveling through the midst of all the clouds and is unstained by the clouds. So another expression is like the lotus. So the lotus grows from dirty mud under a pond. So all kind of dirt is there, it kind of stings. All the waste from the fishes also will be there. So it has that smell. And from that mud, when the lotus flower comes up, when it comes to the surface of the water, it is unstained. So the lotus cannot grow if it was just at the surface of the water. You need that dirty mud for the lotus to grow. But when it flowers, when it blossoms, it is in the surface completely unstained. Even a drop of water doesn't stick to it. So this lotus example comes again and again in many places in Buddha's teachings for this reason. So it is like this samsara, which we find as the most horrible, full of suffering, an ocean of suffering. This samsara is also, from another perspective, if you look at it, this samsara is the very cradle for our awakening. We are able to awaken to perfection only because we have samsara. If there was no samsara, there is no way we can train ourselves. So if we just escape samsara and just remain in the peace of nirvana, even that's not a simple deal. It needs practice. But assume you practice that and you got out of samsara and remained at that kind of nirvana. But remaining there, you couldn't perfect anything because you're just silent, peaceful, and you're just remaining there. But when you're engaged with samsara, but mentally when you disengage with samsara, so you are working in samsara, but you're also learning where the trap of samsara is. You're recognizing that it is not the appearances that bind you. It's not the appearances of samsara that bind you, but it is your mind's clinging and attachment that binds you. When you recognize that deeply, when you let go of that from within, you open up. You open up in the middle of all the aspects of samsara also, you blossom. You blossom into Buddhahood. Okay? So one become Buddha like that. One become Buddha by like the blossoming of a lotus flower. Coming from the root of samsara, working through samsara to change one's mind, to find where one's fetters are, how one is kind of trapped, and all that internal traps are removed, once when you recognize how you are being stuck to different suffering or different conceptions that bring you damage, when you clear that away, you open up to the total freedom and you blossom into Buddhahood. So that kind of a blossoming needs to happen. And for that is this teaching. So this teaching of Prajñāpāramitā, which explains the empty nature of everything, is basically showing you that how when all these phenomena appear. So Avalokiteśvara was seeing that the five skandhas are empty. So it means that there is absolutely, even though you experience the five skandhas, there is absolutely nothing to cling on to it. It doesn't hit you anywhere. Usually, this five skandhas, I'll explain the five skandhas a little more today. But usually we see these five skandhas are a trap. It's the basis for our suffering. It is called the five upadaya skandha. It is the basis for our afflictions. So it's a trouble. So it's totally, in a way, this is quite useless. But in another way, okay, there is no harm either. So basically, when you see it's all empty, there is no harm either. So Avalokiteśvara is following that path as the Bodhisattva. And Shariputra as a Sravaka usually will not have this question because the Sravaka's interest is that, okay, becoming Buddha is too difficult, but there is the suffering of this world. I need to get out of this suffering. So Sravaka's interest is basically to see how can I kind of break the fetters of samsara and how can I go beyond this into the peace of nirvana. So normally this question will not come because it's not in the interest area of the Sravakas. But here what happens is that Buddha has entered that profound samadhi of illuminating all dharmas, and there is also that luminance of his presence there, which is so inspiring. And then Avalokiteśvara is in a meditation, and he is experiencing that all skandhas are empty. So it seems so special. So Buddha is into that deep samadhi. Shariputra doesn't want to disturb Buddha, but he is also inspired by what Avalokiteśvara is doing. And as the sutra explains, how this question comes to Shariputra is by Buddhanubhavena. So, through the power of the Buddha, Shariputra asked this question. So, it is like Buddha himself is kind of prompting Shariputra. Now you ask this question. So, there is another interesting word there. Buddhanubhavena Arya Avalokiteśvaram Bodhisattva Mahasattvametat Avochat. So he said this. It's not that he is asking this. He said this to Avalokiteśvara. What comes after that is actually a question. How should a son of noble family who wishes to practice do this practice? But he is not asking it, but under the power of the Buddha, he said this. So what it means is that, he's inspired by the Buddha so that these words come out of him. So what is the use of these words coming out of him? No dharma is taught without any reason. So unsolicited dharma is traditionally not given. So the question has to be there for an answer to happen. Okay? So for this profound teaching, the profound essence of the Heart Sutra, of the perfection of wisdom to come out, someone has to ask the question. So here, Buddha is inspiring through his meditation for Shariputra to ask the question so that Avalokiteśvara can speak, and that speech can inspire people, and it gets documented so that the sutra is revealed and people can study. Okay? So in that process, Shariputra also learns that then. Okay. So it is not a self question from Shariputra, but a question inspired by the Buddha. So sometimes it's explained that as Buddha was meditating from his urna, there is one ray of light like a curl of hair. So from there, a light ray went, which kind of touched Shariputra, which made Shariputra ask this question. So that's more of a figurative way of saying that. Okay. So, but anyway, Shariputra asked this question, and to which then Avalokiteśvara gives the answer. But before we go to Avalokiteśvara's answer, we should understand what Shariputra knows, because most of us may not even know what Shariputra knows. Okay? So we don't have to belittle Shariputra. We have to understand what Shariputra knows and then go to what Avalokiteśvara adds to him now. Okay? So what Shariputra knows is whatever is needed to break oneself free from samsara. So he has to know the root at which all our clinging and all our emotions and all that happen, which make us suffer in samsara, and how we can go beyond that. So for that, he has to understand that okay, let me ask a question here. So what is the basis of all our afflictions? For what purpose do we generate negativity? For what purpose do we generate attachment? For what purpose do we generate hatred?
You have some desire and you want to satisfy, I think from that, wanting to get something from outside.
So it is something like I need something, so I have to do something about it.
You have to do something to get it, some desire.
I which needs something, and so I have to satisfy that. So I need something. So this is the basis for attachment. But through attachment we suffer. But attachment is coming because I want to be happy. For that I need this. But then We cling to it so much that, oh, without this, I will not be happy. We cling to it so much that it leads to suffering. Okay, though what we wanted was happiness. Similarly, I want this, but this fellow is causing some trouble for me getting it. Then I develop hatred to that fellow. Okay, so again, so it is I need happiness. For that, I need this, and then I have hatred to somebody, and then I suffer out of that hatred. So at the root of everything is this sense of I. Every moment in our life, we go through this sense of I. I. There is nothing in life which we do without thinking, having a sense of this I. Right? So where is this I? Okay. So this is something which right from the beginning in the Sravaka and itself Buddha teaches, and this is something which Shariputra has perfected. And we need to try to perfect this little bit before we try to understand the rest of sutras. So if you look at different experiences which we go through. So maybe we can do a short 1-minute meditation now. Okay. So just relax yourself. Just be open and just try to see what all are the different experiences that you go through. Okay. Okay. So could some of you tell like what all different things can you experience?
Body awareness, sensory experience, and thoughts.
Okay, so one is like body, which is like what is body? What do you experience as body? A shape,
Yes.
some kind of a tactile sensation, right? Different.
And some kind of solid feeling.
Yeah, some kind of that is connected to tactile sensation. Basically, if you touch it, there is something there. It doesn't go through. So there is a tactile sensation to it, and weight also is kind of related to that. Then there is a shape and color and all that, right? Then there are different other sensory experiences. Then there are thoughts. What else can we experience?
Yeah, we are all hearing you.
Yeah, but you are laughing, right?
I know.
So you have some kind of
Okay.
happiness, right? You have some kind of curiosity, some kind of happiness, right? Yes. So that is another experience we have. We experience happiness. Sometimes we experience suffering, right? Then we have also different mental states like curiosity. Now, what else could be that I am asking? So there could be this curiosity coming, right? Then we form various perceptions. We have many ideas, right? So there are all these different kind of experiences. So whatever we experience, Buddha puts them into 5 buckets. There are so many different kinds of experience that we go through, but this is put into 5 buckets. It's not that it's just 5 experiences, but these are 5 buckets or 5 collections. So the first one is what is called form, rupa. Rupam means form. Here, form doesn't just mean shape and color. Form means everything kind of we see as external. Okay? So all that which we know through the 5 senses are called form here, which means it is color, shape, it is also smell, it is also taste, it is also sound, it is also the touch. In fact, it's also the organs related to that. That is a subtle different point, but for the time being, we can take it as these 5. Okay? So all these experiences, we got a smell or we heard a sound, all these kind of things. And most of the experiences which were currently covered now belong to this bucket, the bucket called form. Okay? Rupa Skandha. So Panja Skandha, in that, this one is called the Rupa Skandha. Then the second one, which is always there, whenever we experience anything, in every moment of our experience, something which comes along with, which is not precisely outside, but in relation to outside, is feeling.
You get a feeling about it.
Yes, feeling, yes. Basically, either it's pleasant and agreeable to us, or it's
Or
unpleasant
negative.
and disagreeable to us, right? Or sometimes it's neutral, and if it's neutral, we are careless.
Neutral.
If something is neutral, we don't bother about it. We may not even notice it. But when it is either agreeable or disagreeable, we notice. Either something is pleasant or unpleasant, we either want to possess it or want to get rid of it. Something pleasant, we want to get it, unpleasant, we want to get rid of. So this is called the feeling skandha, or the bucket called feeling, or the Vedana skandha. Vedana skandha means it is whatever experiences we go through, in that the pain, pleasure, or satisfaction, dissatisfaction, or pleasantness, unpleasantness, or agreeability, disagreeability, from a feeling perspective, not from an idea perspective, but from a feeling perspective, I feel agreeable to it. This has to be careful. Okay, you have to be careful about it. It's not in opinion, I don't agree with it. That's a different thing. Here it is the very raw feeling wise, oh, this is nice, or this is not nice. This is little painful. That aspect. Okay. This can come with respect to all our bodily sensations, with respect to any of the 5 senses. It can also come with respect to our thoughts. When we think about something, when we think about or imagine something, or when we think about past or future, there could be feelings associated with that. We could get either a positive feeling or a negative feeling, or sometimes it could be neutral. And it is the positive and negative which takes us further. It has the kind of potential to pull us more into that. Okay. Then the third is perception, Satnya. So this again we always have. Okay. So for example, oh, I'm listening to you. So there is already that you, I'm listening, and all those things are also perception. There is a you, there is a perception. Okay, basically, we are comprehending something into ideas or concepts. We are labeling something. Basically, in our experience, we are recognizing something through a label with some familiarity. Okay, this is the screen of a laptop or a mobile. Okay, so that is kind of a labeling. Or, well, this is good, or this is bad, which is again a label. Okay, so these are all labels. So basically there are certain ideas which we form, and just that idea or labels, these are also part of our experience. We not only experience the sensory world, we also experience our ideas. And we also experience feeling with respect to these ideas. It's not that ideas just float there, stand alone, but we also experience feelings with respect to these ideas. So before telling the 4th, let me tell about the 5th. The 5th is the Vijnana Skandha, or typically called as the consciousness aggregate, which may be more correctly called as the cognitions. Because it's not just one single consciousness standing there. It is our moments of cognition and seeing now. This is one experience I have. This is, where do I put it? This I put it in the Vijnana Skandha, into the bucket of cognitions. I'm hearing something. So that experience of hearing. So there are 2 parts to that. I'm hearing means there is an experience of sound. That sound goes into the Rupa Skandha. But then I am being aware of hearing. So there is, even in today's meditation, right? So for some time we observed sound. Then we observed what is it like hearing. So that hearing aspect goes into the cognition skandha. So it is our auditory cognition of a moment. So these are also momentarily things. The momentarily we hear and it goes. Momentarily we see something, it goes. Then it's something else which we see. Similarly, a smell comes, momentarily we recognize smell, right? So then there is that smell cognition happening there. So like this, and when we think, there is also mental cognition happening. So all these different kind of cognitions of knowing that we are aware either through the five senses or through the mind, that is the cognition skandha. The 6 types of cognitions form the cognition skandha or the vijnana skandha. The fourth one is reactions beyond this. This is called sanskara skandha. In one way, everything other than this 4, Buddha puts into the fourth. Okay, other than form, feeling, perceptions, and cognitions, whatever else come is in the sanskara. So what we experience in that are different emotional states. Like our mind is colored by, this is nothing outside, this is inside us, but even though it's inside, we have an experience of it, right? So even though it's inside, we do experience it. So this experience is called all this is called samskara. Basically, sometimes it's like something like, I heard something, so I turn my head. I feel like turning the head, or I develop an interest to know what is here. So that's a reaction. And when that interest comes, I feel like turning. I turn. So all those things which happen in mind, these are intentions and urge to do something, and then the actual doing, or more attention to something, or an emotional coloring about it. All those kind of things, or feeling hatred or attachment and all those kind of things. All these are reactions which is put into the bucket of formation. So now the question is there any other experience other than these 5? So these 5, if you look at, when we look into meditation, and particularly Shariputra has done it and he's an expert on it, is that all these 5 experiences come moment by moment and vanish. None of them stay forever. All these are coming and going. Okay? So all these experiences are coming and going moment by moment. They don't stay beyond that. Our cognitions come and go. We are not always aware of the same thing. Different cognitions come, different forms come, different feelings come, different perceptions come, different formations come. Samskara, the 4th aggregate is formation aggregate or sanskara skandha. So all these 5 are changing all the time. Okay? So what is that I which I am trying to protect, or which is that I whose desire I am trying to address? So when all these are like moment by moment vanishing, what is this I that I am holding on to? Right? Is there an I other than any of these 5? Do you have an experience outside this? So we have a sense that I continue. Right? I was there yesterday, I am here today. Right? Many, many years back, I was born and now I am here. But now, is it the same form which is there now? No, the form has changed. Is it the same thought which is there now? No, it has changed. Is it the same emotion? Is it the same sanskara, the formations? No. Even moment by moment, my thinking patterns are changing, my form is changing, my thoughts are changing, my emotions are changing, my feelings are changing, perceptions are changing. So everything is changing moment by moment. Yet there is a continuity, because one change leads to something else, and that leads to something else, that leads to something else. Like that, there is a continuity. Okay? So this moment, I feel, oh, I need this. I see something and I think, oh, I need this. This will make me happy. Okay? And based on that, I give rise to attachment. Then somebody is trying to snatch this away, or somebody is causing an obstacle from me possessing this. Then I give rise to hatred. I do something out of hatred. My mind gets polluted, deluded, and frustrated and in pain, and also create negative karma. Then I reach something where I suffer. So is it the same person who did and the same person who suffer? Is it the same I who wanted something, and is it the same I which suffers out of that hatred later?
Maybe it's different, but we still have a feeling that it's the same person.
Yes, it is different, right? If you objectively
Yes,
see
but you
what
have
is
a
there,
feeling
it
that
is.
it's the
Yes,
same.
yes, we have a feeling that it is same.
It's
But
the same.
taken separately, they are different. But the collection, the flow is there. Because from one to the other, it's connected. From that, it's connected. So the I which suffer later for what I did yesterday, the I which is standing today is coming in its continuity. These are two different things, but it is coming in its continuity. So they're not same, right? But at the same time, they're connected. They're connected, but they're not same. Okay? But the I which wanted something just went away, and another I in that continuity had to suffer for it. And still I think I want something. Okay? Without looking into what that I is.
So
in a way,
what is connecting all this, or who is connecting all this?
so each moment we are trying to hold on to it to connect. So the I which did a moment of a mindful of hatred did some action, then I holding on to that and making another I happen, which will suffer out of it. Okay, so moment by moment, what comes is holding on to the baggage, even though it is not saying, it is holding on to that history, it's holding on to that cause effect conditioning, and it is holding on to it. So these pieces, even though they're moment by moment changing, there is no solid I in it. Okay, we experience as if it is there. So we experience an I which is not truly there, but for that I we do things which make us suffer. Basically, if every moment we remain fresh, just like how we did in the meditation earlier, if we remain fresh moment by moment, we can be happy. But we don't do that. We always hold on to the baggage, and we are trying to think somewhere in the baggage is me. Okay? So, in this five skandha, what Shariputra has recognized is that in this five skandha, there is no solid I anywhere. Nothing in this is an I. So, it is like water flowing in a river. We have the name of the river, say river Ganges, Ganga. So there is Ganga river flowing. But is it the same Ganga yesterday and today? Its water has changed, right? Nobody can get into the same Ganga twice because its water has changed, right? So the water has changed, but the name remains. The name remains. So in the same way, we are flowing, our experiences are flowing, yet the name remains. Whatever name, whatever identity. In fact, our identity also keeps changing, but we always think, forever I have been this. When I say I've been born so many years back, I don't reflect to the fact that that time I was not looking like this, right? When I hold on to a image that my identity is so and so, I don't reflect to the fact that I built up this identity over time and it is also changing. We think that I always possess this. This is me. But when we look into it, we can see that these are all coming and going piece by piece. And what we think indispensable are dispensable. And in fact, when we dispense off that, not outside, but from our mind, when we dispense that off, we can experience more freedom. This needs to be gone into a little more depth. So does Buddha statues depicted with half-closed eye point to this? I think this was in relation to Buddha being connected. Yes. So there are two reasons. One, half eye is a good meditative posture where you're connected yet you're a little calm. Instead of looking up, you won't be so calm. When you look down, mind will be calm. So you're open to everything, yet mind is calm. At the same time, it also communicates that Buddha has that inner peace, yet he is connected to the world. So it is truly for that. Our need to cling to permanent self is in a way self-protection. Often we think it is self-protection. Our need to cling to a continuity, we think it's self-protection. But which self are we protecting is the issue. You're protecting something which is not there. Because we suffer because we have been protecting ourselves. So all the hatred which has
even
given
if we
rise
suffer, a sense of continuity gives a
hope.
to live. Otherwise,
Hope
you become
So we have hope to live with a sense of continuity. And sense of continuity is true. There is a continuity. No matter what you try to do, it will continue. There is no way it can end. Life after life, it continues. So the sense of continuity, either into samsara or into nirvana, the continuity is there. But what we try to protect, the self which we are trying to protect, that self is not there anywhere.
It's an imaginary self.
Yeah, and trying to protect that self, we are doing things, we are emotionalizing, we give rise to afflictive emotions, and we suffer out of those afflictive emotions, right? So we are always suffering out of afflictive emotions because we are trying to protect. So our hope is that we want to protect ourselves, but our hope to protect ourselves is at the root of all our suffering. So if at all you are protecting, we should protect after recognizing what we are. We shouldn't be trying to protect some fake image of me, thinking that that is me. So that is the cause of suffering.
Actively dealing with day-to-day affairs, there should be a continuity.
Yeah, if that is when we are not skilled enough to know the moment in its fullness. So if you are skilled enough, if you have wisdom enough to know the moment in its fullness, if you are Buddha, we don't need continuity. We don't have to think about past. Okay? We just be open in the moment. Dharma paryaya samadhi, right? Buddhas. So if we have that, we see everything as it is. Then we don't have to add stuff from the past and all that. Just respond to the moment. But when we do not have it, when we are still at the path, when we are still growing, right? When we have limited vision, we can try to complete this with inferences based on our past experience and all that. Okay? So temporarily, we need some continuity. That's why there is a path. Okay? So temporarily, we need some continuity so that we can break that continuity. Of course, still there will be continuity. Even beyond that, there will be continuity, but without baggage. But currently we have to also work with the baggage, because whatever we have conceptually learned, sometimes that will be useful. Whatever our past experiences are, we have good lessons from it, and that good lessons can modulate our future. So we can use this sense of fake self in a positive way for the time being. Okay, till we completely open up to wisdom. Okay, so that is there. So we'll do the dedication prayers. Nena punnena dosalvadarshita avapyana jetya cha dosha vedusha jararuja mrityu mahormi sangula samudhareyam bhavasagara jagat. Through this merit, by attaining omniscience and by conquering all faults and adversities, may I liberate all beings from the miserable waves of ocean of existence, of birth, aging, sickness, and death.